Hello, hello everyone. Thanks for joining me here at Perfectly Imperfect Designs. Okay guys, today what we're going to use is Deco Mesh Poly, the red and white checked, and white poly burlap. Both of these are 10 inches wide. I'm going to cut, well, you'll just have to come with me and watch how I'm going to cut these. Okay, I already have some open. As you can see here, we have a jagged mess. It's Memorial Day weekend, so I thought what better of a day than Memorial Day to make my version of this flag that I'm going to make. Now, I've never done it like this before, so if you've been around for very long, you know that I kind of design on the fly, and it's far from perfect. So, I'm going to flip. I put my white down, curl side up. I put my red check down, curl side up. I put my white poly burlap on top of that. But now I need to flip it over. So here we go. Right here, I have my poly burlap underneath. I'm going to place this over it. See this white line in the deco mesh right here? I'm going to try to, I call it sealing, you guys. I've been making flowers like this for a really long time. Check them out in my Etsy shop. I used to make them with tulle and all kinds of stuff. So, that's what I call it, is sealing. So here's my white line. I'm going to cut on this side of the white line because I want it to have a finished edge. So watch, let's do it together. Okay, I have my deco mesh on top of my poly burlap. I'm going to go to this white line. I've got two lines on my cutting board 10 inches apart. I'm going to take this deco mesh and I want to go to the right of this line, and I'll do this every time I make a petal. So I'm using my wood burner. If you use a wood burner, please remember to wear a mask. I'm in a very well ventilated room, and like I said, I've made these flowers for a really long time. Okay, back to this side. Now look guys, I have sealed this together right here, and I did it to the right of this white line. So I match that up with my line on my board, go 10 inches over, and I'm to this white line. So I want to cut to the left of it. So it appears that I have a finished white line on both sides of my petal. Okay. Well, maybe I can show you better. See the white line right here on the edge that I left out so that it looks like we have a finished edge? It's on both sides now. And this side. Okay, what I'm going to do, take my square here. I have the poly burlap on the bottom, deco mesh on the top. It's sealed on two sides. Alright, now, what I'm going to do is turn my petal in a diamond shape, making sure that my finished edge is to my upper left. Now, see, when we started, our finished edge was, our manufactured edge was here at the top and here at the bottom. Now, if we turned it like this, and our manufactured edge was to the right and to the left on the sides, petal will turn out totally different. It will not have the same pattern going all the way around. So, I like to start with my finished edge at the top and at the bottom, turn it to the left, counterclockwise, and then I simply just turn it. Okay, I want to show you. We cut that edge, so see we're back here. I have to cut to the right of this white line because there isn't one on this side. And I want this light white line to be our finished edge. So, you know, you are maybe wasting a ½ inch of mesh. If that's how you want to look at it, you could use it. You don't have to have the finished line on the right side. I just think it gives it more of a finished look. Version of an American flag flower. This is different. Of course it is. Okay, back over here to the 10-inch mark, right there on my board. I'm going to go to the left of the white line this time and cut it. Now each one of these squares is going to be 2 petals. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to cut some pieces. I've already got some cut, but I'm going to go again. I have my poly burlap underneath the checked mesh. I'm sealing them together. Here's the white line on the edge. See the finish line? Go over to my mark. Go to the left of this white line. Because again, my black marks on my board are 10 inches apart. You're cutting through some pretty thick mesh right here. You're going to poly burlap and poly deco mesh. So just, you know, go slow and easy. I don't mind going slow. I love to get very involved in my crafts. So it doesn't bother me to cut mesh this way. It really doesn't. I kind of enjoy it. Crafting has always been a therapy for me. So just doing things my own way and making this flower. I've always been one to beat to my own drum. I don't necessarily do things like everyone else. Okay, now we have our 10-inch square. Now I know I could remove the glass and get my rotary cutter and cut the petal because I've already done that once. I should have went ahead and cut it down the middle as soon as I got finished cutting both sides. I mean, I should have went ahead and burnt it down the middle as soon as I got done with both sides. But I thought, no, I'm just going to burn it, seal it together, and then I'll cut it, the diamond, in half with my rotary cutter. I'm not going to do it that way. So, manufactured edges top and the bottom. I turn it counterclockwise so my manufactured edge is on my upper left. And then I simply turn it like a page. Don't flip it or anything. Line my point up there. And take my wood burner and burn it right down the middle. I'm making 2 petals, of course. But you could cut this part with your rotary cutter and go on about your day. This doesn't necessarily have to be sealed together. It's just the way that I like to do it and have done it in the past. So I'm going to complete this. Then we have 2 identical petals for our flower. Oh, my pencil is coming out. So it's a good thing I did decide to seal it because, heck, if it's coming out when it's sealed together, I'm sure it would come out more just being cut with the rotary cutter. So now my piece of mesh is sealed on 2 sides. And my manufactured line is on both same size. My pattern is exactly the same on my mesh, with my stripes going up and down instead of crossways. So I'm going to put these here. Again, I need 12 of these. 12 of the red and white. Alright. Okay, now we're going to move on. And then I'm going to show you the D. Michaels petal fold because that's what we're going to be doing with all of them. So I have 12 pieces. I'm going to have 12 of these to make petals out of. I only need 12 petals. It's never a guessing game with this. Okay, now I'm just needing some white mesh without this. So, simply pull it apart. Okay, now I'm going to start my edge fresh and clean on here. Now I'm going to use this whole square for our petal with the white and also the blue. The only one that I'm doubling up is this one. See if I can get one more square of this. Just barely. Look how close that is. Simply amazing. Okay, now I'm going to cut, I already cut my additional 6 squares. And with the blue, I'm going to be doing the same thing, using one 10-inch square per petal. So I'm going to cut 9 of these, and I'll be right back. Okay, now we're going to move on to the next step, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to fold the petals. I'm going to start with the blue, turn into a triangle, lay my hand flat on it, go up the bottom of it. Okay, again, I don't know if you've seen any of my other videos, but I'm going to be holding this petal together with rubber bands that I got from the Dollar Tree. Now these, I used to say I didn't know how many was in there, but there are 500 rubber bands in a package, and I just got this little box to put them in. Then, while holding it together, I simply wrap the rubber band around the bottom of it, and then I can kind of work with it a little bit, shaping it out. And I'm going to make each one of the squares that I cut into a petal, because I enjoy making all my petals and having them all ready, and then taking my board and sitting down and putting the petals on it. So that's the blue one. Here's the white one. Although I like to do this with my one piece of mesh, I'm used to taking the bottom and mashing it up here. So my manufactured edge is on the left side here. Turn it, put my hand on it, and make the Dean Michaels flower petal with it. And there we go. Take my rubber band. These come in super handy. Now if you don't want to do it this way, you can just put them directly on the board. Wrap it in this. And then you have a little, you know, little bit of flexibility here to be able to kind of shape your petal before you put it on the board. Because you do want them to look somewhat the same. Pretty much as much of the same as you can possibly do it. Okay, there's the white one. Now for the poly deco mesh on top of the poly burlap. Finish line at the top. Turn it to the upper left. Put my hand flat down on it. And scrunch it together at the bottom, remembering now that we have a finished sealed together edge down here, so it's not going to get all frayed right here very easily because we have it put together at the bottom. Take the rubber band, you can also put them together with the zip ties. To me, I want to make sure my flower does not fall apart. So I just, like I said, guys, if you've watched me before, this is like my own version of the American flower. So, I know I'm silly, but let me put all of my petals together, and I'll tell you exactly how many petals I have, which I will have 34 petals, because that's what the board requires. No more, no less. I just simply go by the holes that were on the board when I first started making these. And I can also make these on a frame. Today I just chose to show you how I do it on a Unique in the Creek board. I'm going to go ahead and make my flower petals with these 3 patterns of mesh that we already have cut. So, be right back. This is a Unique in the Creek board. And this is considered, each one of these rows going around is a certain circumference. I call this circumference number 2. It has 16 double holes all the way around. Those are the ones that I'll be using. On the next row, which is circumference 3, I have 8 that I'll be using. And then finally on the 4th row, I have another 8 holes, double holes. So I take my zip tie, put it down through there, pull it up, and I do that for every set of holes 16 times for circumference number 2. Okay, I got all the way around that row. I have 16 zip ties. Now I've got 8 on circumference number 3. Sometimes, you guys, I don't go by these numbers or anything. I just call it outside row, next row, next row. So it's just not so confusing. There's 16, 8, and 8. And I do not use any of these petals right here. These middle petals, I don't use them. So I'm going to continue to go around and put my zip ties again. And only the double holes. Of course, I need 2 holes to put a zip tie on. And put them all the way around this circle. And I'll be right back. Okay, now I'm going to start on the final row that I use. And there you go. Okay, I've got them on all of the holes that I'm going to use. I'm not going to use these middle ones. They call it, let me see again. Circumference number 2, I have 16. Number 3, I have 8. And number 4, I have 8. So outside circle 16, next circle 8, next circle 8. So you're never guessing how many petals you need. If you're going to double your petals or put a petal that is made with 2 pieces of mesh, maybe differently, you still are only going to need 16, 8, and 8. So let's get started putting them on the board, shall we? Okay, guys, we're to the point now where I can start putting the petals on the board. Now, this is my hanger for the board. It's a zip tie. It's got 2 holes. It's got a 1 right there. And you put your zip tie through there and pull it up back. That way it doesn't scratch anyone's door. Now, I like to go counterclockwise again with this because I want I'm going to start out with 5 blue petals. So I want my blue petals to start about right here. So, petals that we made. Oh, before I do that, as you're putting your zip ties on the board, you can go ahead and close them. Just pull it till it clicks. Just like I tell you on all of my crosses and stuff that I make. You just want to pull it till it clicks so you have enough room under there to get your petal. To get this part of your petal. So, I'm just going to start placing them in here. And I'm going to start out with 5 blue. I'll tighten them up better once I get them all placed. Alrighty. Last blue on the outside ring. Okay, let me see these now. I'm going to make sure that I have them sticking straight out. Now, a lot of things are going to be covering these. I just want to make sure I got my 5 blue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start alternating the red and white striped poly deco mesh with the poly burlap underneath it and the white. So maybe as we go along, you'll be able to see the pattern that I'm going for. And I hopefully this works out. This is the first time I made a flower with this pattern on the mesh. I've got a whole bunch of these flowers in my Etsy shop, so I hope you will check them out. You'll also see, I think I have 2 other red, white, and blue flowers. They're not done like this one. And I have some made on a frame and some made on this Unique in the Creek flower board. To me, this is like more relaxing. There's no guesswork in it really because you start out, you already know how many petals exactly you're going to use. Shipping goes by the volume of your package. So, does not go by weight, but it does go by amount of space in your box. So these are ideal for shipping because, you know, on a wider frame, you're more than likely to build your wreath up, and sometimes you can get it up to 10 or 8 inches easily on a wired frame. So then you're talking about the width of the wreath plus the depth of your box, and it can just really get pricey. So that's another thing I like about these. They're not that expensive, and you don't use as much mesh because you know exactly how many pieces of mesh you're going to need to start. And when I started thinking, I kind of got inspired to do it this way. And I'm going to tell you what my reasoning for the red and white stripe is. And I may be wrong. It may not look like what I thought it was going to look like. And I'm also going to do the exact same colors all the way to the middle. Let me tighten these up and cut them off. Phew, thanks to the power of YouTube. Couldn't find my needle nose pliers. Alright, I'm going to start right here with the red and tighten. Let me find the hanger. Our hanger is right here, so again, you don't worry about what's the top of your wreath is. I'm making a flag, so my blue. Oh, there goes my cutting board. It didn't break. Phew. Okay. I'm making a flag, so of course my blue is going to go in the upper left-hand corner. Now I'm going to go around and tighten these. And right back where I started. Blue in my upper left-hand corner. Well, it's actually not a corner. It's on the upper left-hand side of our circle. Okay, moving right along. I'm going to take another blue. Let me put this row together just till it clicks. And this one's backwards, which can happen a lot. Just make sure your flat side is towards the sky and you'll never get it wrong. Flat side of your zip tie block facing the ceiling and you'll never get it wrong. Okay, moving right along. We need more petals out here, so there's more blue. There's the white. Alright, start putting the blue in again. And I'm going to go for one more right here. Now, by looking at this, you might be thinking, well, that's crazy. You can see the board through there. You won't be able to. Alright, I have 4 on here for the blue. I started with 5. Next row, I went with 4. Okay, moving right along. I guess I did fill up all those holes already. Can't believe I've been all the way around. Okay, I'm going to tighten up these on the second circle. And you know, you can move them when you get done. They're not actually like stuck to the board. We're only using a zip tie. This one needs a little bit more. Now for our very last row on the inside. Up to the right. Now I like to pull this petal that's closest to my center in pretty far. You can see what I'm doing. That's closest to my center in pretty far. So it's covering up the board. White. Red and white. blue. Okay, here's the next blue. Pulling it in kind of far. Alright, let me finish tightening these up. And I'll cut the tails off of these. And we'll be adding the center of our flower. This flower and many more are in my Etsy shop. That is linked below. And now once I get the middle on this and I hang it up, here, this was my thought process. You have the blue right here, and then with the stripes going in these rows, the red and white stripes, I wanted them to kind of appear to be waving in the wind, and from a distance it may look that way. I'm not sure, but I thought with this being cut to where the pattern's all going the same way, if you use these right next to each other, it gives it a swirl effect. So I just thought maybe it would look like the red petals are waving in the wind with this pattern. Maybe I'm wrong. Not sure. I'll have to wait until I get it hung up on something, and that's not going to happen until after, of course, I get the middle on it. And I'm also going to put some stars on here. Can't have a United States flag without stars. Okay, let me get the middle. I am in a dilemma over which middle I want to choose. I have a lot of flowers that I make, so therefore I have a lot of middles that I've already made, switched around on different flowers. So I'm going to show you which ones I have. I have this one, which is just a natural. I think it was a 6-inch ball at one time, and I cut it in half. It will go on there perfectly. I covered it with some jute. I also have this one, which is again natural. I don't know. I'm not too sure about the natural. I think I'm leaning more towards the white. I have this one that I've covered in the past. I don't think I like that. It's very busy. May use this with just a solid red, white, and blue wreath. I have this red one. Now, I didn't think this one looked too bad. I just am not sure about red being the center. When you're talking about the American flag, the red represents the bloodshed. So I'm not too crazy about the red. I also have this white one that I've already got ready to go. It is a round disc that I covered in white. It's like ski rope. So I could put this one in the middle. And I'm thinking I want to put this one in the middle because these are the stars that I have. I have all kinds of stars. So I have to take my pipe cleaners, put them down into these 4 holes that I did not use. Around. 2 on this side. And I can turn it over. Twist these on. I'm not going to cut these quite yet because I want to make sure this is the middle that I'm going to keep. But when I do get ready to cut them, I'm just going to cut them right there, push it back down into the board. So, the American flag, my version of the American flag flower wreath. Okay, now I'm going to start. The cord on my glue gun is not very long, so I'm going to turn it this way to add the stars. And I'm just going to add 1 star to each one. I don't know if these have a sticky on them. Yeah, they do. They have an adhesive on them. I'm not going to just depend on it. I'm also going to put a little bit of hot glue and just stick it right there. Let me get some adhesive off the back of these, so you're not sitting here watching me do all this. Okay, guys, I'm back. I had to take all the sticky off the back, but I'm not going to count on just it to hold the stars on. So, put this one right here. Try to get them somewhat even. Now, before I get a picture of this hanging up, you guys, let me know what you think about my thoughts about it looking like it's waving in the wind. And you won't be able to really tell till you see it hanging up. I'll be here in just a second as soon as I get these stars on here. Or if you would have used a different flower metal. I have a lot of these in my shop. This one's also going to be in my shop. And I also have the materials to make 3 or 4 new ones. Okay. And here we have it. Let me get a picture of it outside. I'll get a picture of it hanging up and show it to you. But for now, on this Memorial Day, I want to thank all of our military soldiers and veterans in the past, the present, and in the future. We all need to remember the people that we've lost during COVID. And let's hope for better years ahead. So thank you very much for joining me with my video. And until next time, I will see you later. Thanks. Bye-bye.